What is up? Welcome back. Episode 19 today. We're calling it Looking Ahead, or moving forward, something positive like that. I think we all need some positivity. So what we're going to talk about today, high level, is Nola and Hoskins, going around the horn, see what each of us think, what's going to happen there. We're going to just do some trades or some free agent, like it's a wish list. This stuff may not fucking happen. It may not even be in the possibility. It's like, here's what I would like to see as us. And maybe some guys are doing it more realistic. Then we're going to do Odumbass of the week for Mike. And John is going to be talking about the Arizona Fall League, which he's been watching. So he's going to give us just a little bit of an update about that. Maybe some Phillies guys, see what he has going on. We're going to do a little Uncle Badload story time. I have a couple stories queued up about Uncle Badload that I hope everyone's going to enjoy. Snuggle next to your closest partner, get close to the TV or the earphones. It's, just lovely stories about Uncle Badload. We're going to talk about what are our winter plans? Like, what do we do during the winter? And kind of not only as a podcast, but personally, like, what are we doing and looking forward to? And if we have time, we're going to move into our favorite baseball movie or book of all time. The one that we'll kind of watch whenever it's on, The Shawshank of Baseballs, like something you just don't turn off, The Goodfellas.
Tombstone.
Yeah. So I want to start it off with, plugging our own stuff here. PhillySportsShirts.com, PhillySports shirts.com. We got all the Drunk Phils fan stuff. We just did get the new red, like the city logo. So it's red and blue. It's more of like the traditional Phillies red as opposed to the maroon. And also there's Drunk Eagles fan stuff on there and Drunk Union. So the kind of two teams that are going on right now is what we got going. So getting into it, and I figure, if this makes sense to you guys, we'll go around the horn on one of these guys and then go around the horn on the other guy. So I am going to start with Nola. And I just want to it's not very stat heavy, but there's some things I want to talk about in terms of Nola. He wants 7 years at $200 million. He's 31 years old. That leaves him at 38, 39, coming back here, making $200 million. There are precedents for this. There's historical pieces where this happened a few times and it's been successful. Hardly any. Verlander, maybe Scherzer, I guess he's successful. That's it. That's kind of it. Kershaw, kind of, and you see what's happening with him. But you have Lincecum, Kane, Mad Bum, Felix, Sale. Every one of these dudes signed this big long-term deal at big money, and he just shit the bed. I am out on Nola for that fact. I can't do it. I cannot fucking think of having Aaron Nola in goddamn 2029. I just can't do it. It's not worth it. So that's where I am.
Yeah. So I guess just to start real quick, today is a big day, right? Trades and free agents can start. Free agents with their own team only until Sunday. On Sunday, free agents can talk to other teams other than their current team, and qualifying offers can be given. And also Sunday is Gold Glove Day, so I'm looking forward to Sunday a little bit. Yeah, so we got some skin in that game.
Yep.
As far as Nola goes, Nola and Hoskins have both said that they want to stay in Philly, and I believe one of them, and I don't believe the other one, because I really do believe that that Hoskins wants to stay. He didn't get kind of to participate this year after, blowing out his knee and having ACL surgery. And I think that if Nola really wanted to stay here, he would have signed the deal that was given to him last offseason. I like your point about these long-term deals for 31-year-olds don't work out very often. One thing that I did take away from we're going to call Dave Dombrowski Double D for now. So one thing that I took,
love Double D's.
Exactly. One thing that I took away from Double D's press conference the other day is, he understands that if, he can't find a hometown discount for Nola, that we need to make some or sign someone that could take his place. And I love that forethought, right? We're going to go after this guy. He's semi-popular with the fan base here. He's done kind of well, and he steps up sometimes. And so we're not calling him the ace anymore. We have another ace. So who's the 2 or 3 that you bring in if you can't get the hometown discount of like the 3 or 4 year $75 to $100 million Nola, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll talk about trades and wish lists later, but I've got a few that I'd like to slot in for Nola if so. I'm out at the 6 year $200 million as well. I think we've talked about this a little bit as we've gone through the year. I'll kick it over to you, John, for Nola.
Yeah, I'm out on Nola. Had a slight disagreement, a little argument. Well, it wasn't an argument on my side with my one nephew. He was like, he could pitch. Oh, you hate Nola? He could pitch no. I was like, he could pitch no hitters in every damn game of the playoffs, and I still don't want him back. He's trying, and people are trying to say, oh, the regular season don't matter. Kind of does. He kind of lost some games where it could have put us in a better position for the playoffs. I mean, who knows what would have happened, but I mean, the whole year it was up and down. Like he'd pitch like 3 bad games, pitch that one good game to give you hope, and then another so-so game, and then boom, right back in the shitter again. Like I can't pay that type of money. And like you said, Mike, when we're looking at a little later on, when we're looking at people we want to bring in stuff, there's a couple guys that I could pay that money and less to, and that will perform better than him that I have on my radar. I can't bring them back. I think Chris said it the best on the last episode. The Nola experiment's over. We tried, and it's not working. What you got, Dugan?
The one thing I'll give Nola is, I mean, he's been incredibly durable since he's been here with the Phillies, and that is a quality that you can't overlook. You know, his durability, and I do think he's been better than we give him credit for. I think we're extra hard on Nola because we labeled him an ace, and he never really was an ace. And we really got him on the cheap for the past couple of years. I think he made $11.25 million this year. I mean, for a number 2 starter, that's chump change. I agree with you though, Chris. I mean, I'd maybe go a 4-year deal with a 5th-year team option. I wouldn't go more than 4 years with a guy at, he'll be 31 when the season starts next year. I just don't trust that he's going to stay healthy. He hasn't been consistent enough. But I mean, it's not my money. If they can get a good deal for him, I think he's as good as anybody that's out there right now.Maybe as a free agent, I mean, maybe there's trades that can be done where we can improve in that slot. But yeah, I wouldn't offer more than a 3 or 4 year contract for Nolan. If he doesn't take it, moving on. But I'd bring him back at 3 or 4 years just because I think he's durable. He's going to take the ball every start, and he'll be okay. He's not going to be great. He's not going to be terrible. He'll be serviceable. I'd keep him around at the right price.
Do you give him a qualifying offer?
Yeah, I would, because I think somebody's going to pay more than. I think the qualifying offer is $20 million right now.
Yeah, 20 and a half.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the site I looked at puts his average salary in around 25. They're targeting, so I think I'd offer him the $20 million so you get the draft pick if he signs elsewhere, because I think someone's going to offer him more than $20 million.
Yeah, the only fear is that he would take it, but I guess there's, not a large choice there. Like you said, Chris, getting 25, 26, who knows, 30 million a year. He's going to pass up on it, and at least we don't completely lose out.
Right.
I guess we'll move on to Hoskins now. So I have a few other and I think my belief, and I was always anti-Hoskins, been anti-Hoskins since he got hurt. But it seems like there's something there with the leadership part of it. And I am giving the thumbs up to a Hoskins 1-year deal only. at what he's asking for, right? At the qualifying offer. And the reason why I asked this, and we'll get into it a little bit more in the next segment, is I brought up some stats, and now there's like tons of stats, but the chase rate is something that I was looking at because like the Phillies got exposed as a whole. Hoskins doesn't chase. This dude doesn't chase. Sometimes he doesn't chase so much that he like takes a walk when you were like, dude, you're a two-hitter, like fucking swing the bat. But their chase rate, the Phillies' chase rate was 1% off of being the worst in the league. Like not somewhere in the middle, 1% off from being the worst in the league. Nick Castellanos, 41% chase rate. Trey Turner, 38%. So like the two dudes that we know that there's a problem with, like that's a big problem. Schwarber actually had a pretty large chase rate though, even though he walks a lot. But I'm signing Hoskins. I am not doing a long-term deal. I think this is one of those one-year prove me's, and you know, you give him the money at 20 Miller at 20 and a half because I think that's what it is again. So I'll
do I remember that his chase rate was like 21% or something?
It's low.
It's like half the
It's low. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said it a minute ago. I really believe that Hoskins wants to come back. I think he missed that this year. He missed playing with this team. I think it all hinges on Bryce Harper. Basically, Double D said that. Does Bryce want to go back to the outfield? If he does, fantastic. Then Hoskins goes to first base and they give him the 20 and a half. I think he takes it too, and comes back for that prove me year that you were talking about. What then happens is, you know, when we'll get to this in a minute, is there's a little bit more flexibility with what you can do in a trade situation if Bryce is willing to go back to right field, right? And we can talk about that when we get to the next segment here. And then, you know, what happens if you do give him that qualifying offer? He accepts 20 and a half. He has a good to great, what I'll call a good to great first half, right? So all of a sudden now you have a chip, right? You've got Double D's got a chip for one of those blockbusters that he's, you know, kind of got his reputation built on, because he knows that Bryce Harper can come in and play first base. And he knows that he has some other outfield options in his back pocket. And does that then put us in line to match, a second ace up with Zach, right? So that's where I'm at with him. I love the idea of a 1 year try me, come in, do well in the first half and get us something for the future pitching wise. I also love that he's a right-handed bat. I think about Stairs. I know Stairs is a left-handed bat, but that team needed a lefty off of the bench. We needed a righty off of the bench this year, and we just didn't have that. So, that's my kind of spin. John, what's up?
Yeah, one of the reasons I fell in love with I fell in love with before I got to join this wonderful group here. When I first started following the page, one of the reasons was it was a place I could gather and cuddle up and drink some cocoa and hate Hoskins with everybody else. I hated Hoskins. I hated him. Still do to a little point. But it's kind of like I don't like skunks either. But if I see one wounded in the street, I might call a veterinarian. So I kind of felt bad when Hoskins got hurt. I didn't want him back before this year. I'm like, oh, this is his last year. That's great. Let's get him out the door. But you guys were just talking about the leadership defect and like that. There's that void right there that spunking. I mean, I know he's in the clubhouse, but he's not playing. He's not really out on the field with them and all. I would bring him back on a 1 year prove it. My mind has been changed over the course of the year. It all, like, of course, you just said, Mike, it all depends on what Bryce Harper wants to do, because he has mentioned time and time again he really likes playing first, and there's less of a chance of him getting hurt there also. But that's his buddy too, so he's probably thinking, he knows it's a business, but that's his buddy. Let's see how he can make that work. Now, if you put Hoskins at first and you move Harper in the outfield, now there's a logjam out there, but there's a couple pieces out there I think we can move to, and we'll get to that in our other segment. But yeah, I'd give him a 1-year prove it deal, and who knows? Even if you still want to get rid of him, you can move him at the deadline. You know, get that stud pitcher on the or closer, whatever you need at that point. It's like another team's trying to unload. So yeah, I'm with it for 1 more year. What do you got, Dugan?
Bye, Reese. See you later, pal. This team runs the bases like they got cement shoes. We need one more guy to clog up the bases. I can't watch. He's not going to be any faster after coming off an ACL, right? His defense isn't going to be any better. I mean, we were talking on a couple of podcasts before about how much improved the Phillies' defense was once Harper stepped in at first base. I don't want to go backwards on defense. I want to stay strong with our defense, and Reese doesn't bring you anything defensively. He's still kind of one of them all or nothing guys. I mean, he's out of the Schwarber mode. It's a walk, a strikeout, or a home run. He can't run the bases. He can't play defense. I like him. Good guy. The bat slam will be forever ingrained in my memory, but it's time to move on. I think Bryce at first base is a major upgrade defensively. Like John said, it keeps Harper healthier. I think that's a better position for him. Keeps him active in the game too, where he's not falling asleep out in right field waiting for a fly ball to come. And Castellanos played pretty well out in right field, so I'm good with keeping him out there. But I do think the Phillies need to address speed in their lineup, and bringing Hoskins back is not the way to go. So I'm out on Hoskins.
Completely out. Okay. I mean, I think this all makes sense. I'm going to go to some of the comments now and dish them out just because I knew the Nola and Hoskins things would be at a hot point. And then we'll go into kind of like our trades or free agents, kind of what we want to talk about. So this might take a little bit because we have a lot on here. Max, happy Thursday. Fuck the Mets. There's our first of the day. First comment. Well done. Love that.
Good job, Max.
Buds, can you imagine being a fly on the wall when Dave and Harp talk? That would be cool because you'd like to know what the real story is. Like, do we ever get the truth? You know, like the real story.
Wait,
Zig,
before you go on to that, do you think that already happened?
Yes.
Like Harper's been hanging
100%.
out.
Yeah,
He's been
that
at the Flyers game.
Yeah, that happened.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
That happens. Yeah. Chris Sale deal and maybe another one that you mentioned was brokered by Dombrowski. So that is a worry. Like this dude is like, is he going to go after Nola because he did the Sale thing?
He said it's his number one priority too.
And then again, Zig, good call on the qualifying offer because we kind of did mention that. Is Nola asking for the same deal that he didn't get before the season? I think he is.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Like, and I think he'll get it somewhere.
Maybe more.
Yeah, I think he'll get it somewhere. Barb Smith wants to know what about the pitching coach. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with Cotham. I don't know if he
Phillies
made
pitching was
anyone
in the
better,
in the top 10 all season. I mean,
Yeah.
You got to remember
they had their
Go ahead,
blow ups,
dude.
but
well, yeah, you got to remember though,
good.
Barb. When we went to the 6-man rotation, we had the most innings pitched by starters and the least by bullpen, and that kind of helped in the first couple of rounds of the playoffs. It did not help, I get it, against Arizona, but there might have been some offensive reasons for that, possibly. Yeah. I don't want to go backwards. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's another coach I'd like to get rid of, but we'll get to
that. Debbie, I
That
might
guy?
be in the minority, but let Nola and Hoskins go. I don't think you're in the
There you go.
minority. I think that's probably what many people are saying. Megan, the way Nola pitched in Game 6 set a terrible tone for that game. Fuck Nola. Fuck Game 6. Max, Nola's durability might be from all the meatballs he likes to serve up. Yeah, I mean, pasta, I guess it gives you a carb load. And Paul, 3 years is the most I would give Nola. I think that's fair.
3, 4, something like that.
I think that's fair. Valerie, don't want to see them go. I get it.
Val, we watched them for years too, man. We get it. What,
Yeah.
2014 and 2015, right?
Yep. Let's see.
if they go, who will be the longest tenured Philly? That's good. I don't know who that would be.
I don't know. We have to look that up.
I don't know. I feel like it's like probably Bryce at this
Yeah, I was
point.
gonna say,
Like, I don't know.
it
It's
might
probably
be.
Bryce.
Alvarado, maybe.
Alvarado.
Alvarado,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
He's been around.
Maybe.
I don't know.
That's not that
Good
long.
question. Yeah, that's a good question.
So Zig, league average chase rates around 31%. So that just gives you an idea with Nick at 40+%. That's a big change.
Well, and the other way, you're right. Hoskins being that 21 or so, he's well below the average.
We got a Papa Negler coming in. You guys did a great job on the Phillies, started up for the Eagles. We have the drunk Eagles fans. So Chris Dugan is mostly doing that one with the Butcha. So we do have that out there. Not a podcast, but their game day commentary is awesome. It's always on point, timely, just like the Phils fans are.
Do you have drunk Seahawks fans?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
interesting.
Yeah. It's just me. But
Just one
I can have it.
It's drunk. One drunk.
Yeah, it's just
Seahawks fan.
drunk me fans.
One drunk Seahawks fan.
So I saw this from Jim, and I think it's a good segue into next. So who gives the Phillies an ace for Hoskins, Castellanos, Marsh, and minor leaguers? DD isn't a magician. So I want to transition because, Chris, you made a great point. Like, I don't want Hoskins playing first base. I want Hoskins back, but I think other people have to go. So I am advocating for either Schwarber or Castellanos to be traded. I am advocating for either Pache or Rojas to be part of that trade. And I want the Brewers' Corbin Burns. I think he's the stud that will happen and make things happen. I think he's a legit number one in waiting behind Wheeler, who's done next year. He's out of a contract next year. I think you have to strike while the iron is hot. What does it do for you? It does a few things, right? Number one, it gives you a legitimate 1-2 punch. Wheeler and Burns, anyone else better in the league than that? No, there's not, or close. The Phillies' problem has been not playing baseball. They've been waiting for the 3-run home run. They've been kind of like going up and down with, if our guys are hot, then we're good. But it's really the batting that's been an issue. Pitching, for the most part, other than that piece of shit and his pappy daddy, like that's, a real problem. But we know that dude's not coming back. But I don't know if I want Rojas or Pache. If you asked me, I'd rather get rid of Rojas at this point because
I think he gives you more value.
Yeah,
I love Rojas, but I'm not sold on him just because I think he got exposed as a bat in the playoffs, and as good as his defense is, the way the game is played today, you can't have an automatic out in your lineup. You just can't, yeah. And I think that's an area that they have to look to improve, center field.
And this doesn't change your lineup, right? Because Harper's still at first defensively. Someone's in right. I don't know who it is, whether it's Marsh is moving over right, whether Pache is over in right. Schwarber is I would prefer for Schwarber to go in this instance. I think you sell high on Schwarber. I don't see the Phillies winning anything with Schwarber batting number one ever. And if they're not committed to moving him to 4, 5, 6, I'm out on Schwarber. I don't want him here. And I would move him now if they want him. And I think everywhere has the DH. Like this dude is a DH. He should never see the field ever again. And that's kind of my wish list. I think Corbin Burns changes everything. But I think the number one thing the Phillies have to do is, if you remember, 3 years ago, they played the Braves, won the World Series. 2 years ago, they played, or were supposed to play the, the eventual World Series winner. This year, they played Texas. Next year, they're playing Atlanta. Like, that's tough. I don't want Atlanta winning. The Phillies have to sign Will Smith fucking immediately. Immediately. This dude has won the World Series for 3 separate teams in the past 3 years. Sign Will Smith and get the fucking parade ready.
And what was the other thing? If you play the Brewers in the playoffs, you go to World Series too, right? Yeah. So we got to figure out
to do
match
that.
Up with the Brewers. With Will Smith, we'll be unstoppable.
Yeah. And Will Smith's made for Philly. He's from Philly.
So
it's not that long.
Bel-Air.
Yeah.
if if we move Schwarber, and that creates kind of or Rojas, we're talking about getting Rojas out of here. Would you guys be interested in like going out and looking at Cody Bellinger? I mean, he had a hell of a year this year.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
he can play first, outfield, DH, whatever, smoke weed.
I mean, it makes us left-handed heavy. He's another
definitely-
left-handed bat, but
Yeah.
Center fielder. He can play center. He can play corner. You can put Marsh in center. It's an interesting. He's a name that I wanted at the deadline. I was hoping the Phillies would go out and get him at the deadline, but.
And Chris, do you know what? I think that your boy Bellinger will smoke one of your favorite things, Philly blunts.
Philly
blunts. Yeah. What do you got? What's your wish
I got
list?
pitchers, man, on my wish list, and one outfielder. I know I got a lot of outfielders.
So Mike's list is like fucking Santa's list. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
I would say I had Burns, man. You hit that one on the head, but there's a couple others. Like we got Sonny Gray, we got Montgomery, who really showed up in the playoffs, right? We talked about a couple of these guys, Stroman and Snell before. Dylan Cease in a trade. A couple of these guys are free agents, and a couple are out there for trade bait later. Those are all starters. As I sit and think about the Craig Kimbrell situation, right? We've got our closer of the future. I think we do, at least in Kerkering, but I think he needs a mentor for a year or two where he sets up for somebody, right? And so who is that? And as I'm like reading through all the hot stove stuff that, is the medium stove right now, because we're just starting this whole thing. Josh Hader really, really stands out for me, right? So can we package some sort of deal where that happens and he comes in?
He's unrestricted, Mike. He's an unrestricted free agent, Hader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no package
okay,
needed.
gotcha,
You just gotta sign him. Yeah, you don't have to trade.
Yeah.
Just sign him.
Gotcha. So can we get him in here to really get the kid ready? Because Hader's coming on towards the twilight of his career, and this guy is just, as you guys know, he came up from single A all the way to the majors this year. So I think the last thing I'll talk about before I kick it over to you guys, to you other guys, is Trout, right? I love the package deal of Nick Castellanos, Mick Abel, and pick Pache or Rojas or whoever, and then we get Trout. I know he could probably only play 120 games because he gets hurt, but who cares? Because you've got a stud for 120 to 130 games a year that you could trot out there as a right-handed power hitting bat, and that can complement everybody else that we have. He can run. Dugan, he doesn't clog up the bases like Hoskins does. I don't know. He's a Philly guy. I know some folks that from Jersey that he's been over their farm, and he's just a guy that has a solid character. I think is a leader that can add to the clubhouse and has talent for days. So those are kind of my wish list is a second or a third starter among those names that we talked about, a closer that's a mentor for Kerkering, and as long as the Angels want to pay for a good portion of Trout's salary, then I'd be up for that too. So, what do you got, Chris?
My only concern with Trout, and obviously he's tremendous talent. I'm looking at his stats now. He hasn't played 130 games since 2019. So that's my biggest concern is that his injury history is going to be a problem, especially when you give up a lot to get him. But yeah, I was focusing mainly on guys that were free agents when I was looking. Cody Bellinger is really the only position player that I kind of targeted that's a free agent. But I think there's some guys that bullpen pieces that are available that you could fill in, because obviously I don't think Kimbrell's coming back, Dylan Covey, like those kinds of guys. We're going to have holes in that bullpen to fill. The one guy that I keep looking at, because since he left the Phillies, he's been really good, is Hector Neris. Hector Neris has been really good with Houston. but it looks like he's got a $8.5 million player option. So with the Astros this year. So his market value looks like it's about 7.7. So an 8.5, he may just take that and stay with Houston. But there's a couple guys that I was looking at, bullpen guys. Jordan Hicks is an unrestricted free agent. He was a guy that we talked about at the trade deadline. He went from St. Louis to Toronto this year. He's got closer experience. Kirby Yates from the Braves. He's got a club option at $5.8 million. The Braves may keep him at that price. He's a setup guy. Nick Martinez from the Padres, another guy that I like, hard throwing right-hander. Hader. Couple starters that I Snell, Sonny Gray, Jordan Montgomery, Kyle Hendricks from the Cubs, kind of back end rotation guys. Because I think not always Nola up in the air. I don't know what the Phillies are going to do with Taijuan Walker after his displeasure with the team. Does he not want to be here anymore? Do the Phillies not want him here anymore? I mean, they obviously didn't trust him. They paid him big money, but they didn't trust him in the playoffs to even throw a pitch. So maybe he's a guy that they look to package and move and look for a kind of a 3 or 4 back end of the rotation kind of guy. Because I think Christopher Sanchez pitched well enough that he should open the season as the 5.
Yeah.
Suarez, Ranger, he's going to be great. He'll be a 3 or 4 guy. Wheeler's the stud. He'll be the number 1. So I think you might have 2 spots in that rotation that you're kind of looking to fill, come spring training. So those are just a couple names that I was looking at. Some bullpen guys. I like the Hader move. He's going to cost some money, but it's not my money, so who cares? But I think the Phillies right now, I think position player wise, they're pretty much set. It's going to be small movement position player wise. I do think they need to improve their bench. I mean, we really got exposed in the playoffs. Like I like Sosa. I like him as a bench player just because he can play third, he can play short, he can play second. He hit well enough to be a spot starter if you needed him. But I mean, when you're left-handed bat coming off the bench is Jake Cave, and Christian Pache was your right-handed bat off the bench. Like, you didn't have a bench in the playoffs. You were rolling with your 9, and that was it.
Chris, I think like the bench nowadays, it's like, hey, I want a guy that can play 18 positions. Like, I don't want that. I want a dude that can hit a fucking tater at any point.
Yeah, I
like,
think you need at least one guy like that on the bench. You need one guy that can just go up there and crush one for you.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that guy all season. So hopefully they address that. I do think they might need to look at the backup catcher position because I think JT gets worn down as the season wears on. He's catching 130 games and then all the playoff games. And I think you see that affect his hitting as the season goes on. So I like Stubbs. I think Stubbs is a pretty solid defensive catcher, but he only hit like 200 in his playing time. Which at 1 home run, I think you can upgrade there without spending a lot of money. So we'll see. I mean, I expect the Phillies to be a good team again next year. I don't see 6 better teams in the National League than the Phillies next year. So I think they have to, make some slight improvements. I mean, the big thing, and we talked about the chase rate and all that, they need to get back to just playing fundamental baseball. I mean, that's how they lost. The Diamondbacks played fundamental baseball against the Phillies. And their pitchers were smart enough to say, I don't have to throw these guys strikes. They're going to swing it, whatever I throw. And the Phillies beat themselves more than the Diamondbacks beating them. But the Phillies have to find a way to manufacture runs because when you're not hitting home runs, they don't score. And that's the bottom line. What do you got, John?
Yeah, you guys have hit some names out of the park here. Like they're all names on my list. First of all, Chris, with interesting about Burns is what I read after arbitration, he was really ticked off with the club and how they handled that.
That's why I'm like, the only thing is Woodruff's hurt, so they're going to be less likely to let him go. But Burns is pissed off there, so
he chinned up.
He'll be happy.
Yeah, he took it on the chin and played out the year, but there's a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
I would love to have Corbin Burns. There's no doubt about it. There's another guy that you could trade for too, that is on some teams' radar. Shane Bieber, I would like to have. I know he got hurt to close out the season, but he's only 27. Dude's in his prime. If we could find a way to land him somehow, would love Shane Bieber to bring him in here.
How old is
that's
he,
another
John? Do you know?
27.
Oh, so
27,
okay.
maybe. Yeah, maybe going on 28. Like he's not that old.
Okay.
So it's like right in his prime. Like you give him like a 4-year, maybe something like that. If you can sign him and trade for him and sign him, I don't know what his deal is. I think because they were going to trade him last year, but he got hurt right before the deadline, so that ixnayed that. So I think he might be on his last year this year. I don't think he's a free agent, but that's another name. I know the Phillies never do this, but we have Dombrowski, so maybe Middleton says, here's some money. I go get the kid Yamamoto from Japan.
I was wondering if someone was going to bring him up. Yep.
25 years old, dude lights up the friggin' Pacific League over there. And I'm hearing the money that he would command is roughly like just less than maybe Nola would get. Like, why not? The kid's young. I mean, I would say, what do you have? Like a 1 point something ERA last year? Like it's off. His numbers are off the charts.
I'm so curious what his pitch is going to be because all these Japanese pitchers that come over, it's like the fucking ghost fork ball. What's Dice K have?
Yeah,
like the
What's got the fork ball.
It could be the John ball.
The John ball.
It could be the John ball.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe Dombrowski goes, you know what? We're gonna dip in the bidding pool. Fuck it, and just dude, go that way. I'm looking at Jordan Montgomery. Maybe there's a chance we could snag him. I mean, we could try Blake Snell. I don't see him fitting here though. I mean, people are talking about him, but there's a couple of starting pitchers like Sonny Gray's out there. But I would love to see us take a chance to bid on Yamamoto. Like that would be great. And the other guy too. There's another guy. I just screenshotted that too. Hold on 1 second. I just was looking at my list here.
I still want to choke Snell out for breaking Harper's fucking hand.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Hey, if he brings a sub-2 ERA, I think we'll.
Well, that's then I'm like, all right, right.
Oh, the other guy. There's another pitcher. Another pitcher from Japan, Manga. He's a little older. He's 30. He started for Japan in World Baseball Classic. But I mean, I wouldn't spend as much on him. But it's just a couple starters. Like I'm in love with the Corbin Burns idea. Once I heard he was disgruntled, I started jotting down notes like, oh, what's he look like today? Is he smiling? Is he pissed off? Does he want to leave? Like, because the Brewers, the Brewers are what we've been saying all year. They're a fraud team. They were a fraud first place team.
Do you think the Phillies be willing to eat salary to trade Schwarber or Castellanos?
100%.
Oh yeah,
Because I think, Chris, it's like they know it's now. Too. They know it's this next year. It's gotta be because then they lose Wheeler, and then what's their pitching staff? I have no idea. No one.
Yeah.
And also, let's call it the Brewers.
Right.
The Brewers sold some people before the season. I was like, wow, are they really rebuilding? But they actually did kind of they sold a couple players, but then they got minor leaguers coming up too. So they might be able to afford to lose Burns and bring up a young stud that they have hidden somewhere. But that's the starters I'm looking at. And as far as relievers, I would love to get Hader here. Or even try to I don't think he's a free agent, but they were talking about trading him at the deadline. I would like to see Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals. Bring him in here, put him in a role.
Yep.
Maybe sandwich like Kirkering between him and somebody or something like that. And also, what Chris said, we desperately need a backup catcher. Love Stubbs, character guy, but he sucks on the field. I mean, it sucks batting. He doesn't really. He's just a clubhouse guy, pretty much.
He's a mascot.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's a mascot.
And
Let's be honest.
JT's getting older.
Playlist, right?
I'm a fucking mascot.
Yeah, JT's getting
drinking
older
and
now.
playing music. I don't know.
And you could see it this year. It's wear and tear on JT. He's getting older now, so you might at some point you might have to move Harper back to outfield, and you might have to throw JT at first base for his last year or two.
Yep.
I mean, he's wearing down, but yeah, that's the names I'm looking at.
Cool.
And maybe we can move one of them outfielders if we figure out, I'm more than down for moving Casty or Schwarber. Definitely Schwarber. Like Schwarber would be attractive to somebody as a DH or something.
Yep. All right, so we're going to move into Odumbass of the week, and then we're going to do some comments. So,
all right, cool.
Mike, what do you got for us?
So just to review, because we haven't done Odumbass for a while, right? So we had this player, everyone out there remembers, his name was Odubel Herrera, and I like to call him Odumbass because he made a lot of bad decisions. He made a lot of bad decisions at the plate. I would love to see his chase rate. It has to be higher than Castellanos. He made a lot of bad decisions on the base paths, and he made a lot of bad decisions trying to field his position in center field, right? And so we invented this little segment called Odumbass of the Week. And so today I have for you, I'm going to paint a picture, okay? So go in your Wayback Machine, 27 years, 1996, okay?
You might have to piece this together for me.
No, yeah, 1996, you and I did a little bit of drinking together and a little bit of baseball.
Hey!
Oh, and by the way, we went to school together at the same time. So we're in 1996, 27 years ago. We're in Vegas. There's a Mike Tyson match that night. And there's also someone that happens to be murdered that evening, okay? For the entirety of the time from 1996 until September 27th of this year, and I looked this up a couple of weeks ago, so don't hate me for it not being this week, but there's an ongoing investigation, and the police have like really no leads. They have some ideas and some people of interest, but they don't have any solid leads, right? And so what happened this past summer was there was a search warrant executed for a gentleman's mother's residence in the Las Vegas area, and they found a memoir penned by the gentleman in question, who was a person of interest in this murder 27 years ago in 1996. Okay. In that memoir, he tells exactly how this person gets murdered, and he's involved. And so, like I said, on September 27th of this year, police went and arrested him. They executed a warrant, and they went and found him, and they arrested him. And that person who was shot, do you know who that was?
Yeah, it's my man Pac.
Tupac Shakur. There's a guy, his name is Keith Davis. He goes by Keffy D. And after 27 years, the cops, no idea, a little bit of an idea, no proof, right? The dude of his own volition wrote it down in his memoir, and therefore they're able to arrest him for the murder. Now, great for the family of Tupac Shakur. They get a little bit of closure, but Keffy D is our dumbass of the week.
Writing down he murdered something. I feel like it's like in one of those like fuzzy diary books that like just has like the cheesy lock that are like our girls have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're
it's
like, dear diary, I murked Tupac.
Heart.
Yeah.
Mike, it's funny.
Newspaper clippings
in
that page.
It's funny you mentioned Tupac, and it's around just Halloween just passed. The year right after he got murdered, I went out as Tube Sock Shakur. I went out with just like a bunch of tube socks all on me and wrapped around me, and everybody's, "What are you supposed to be?" I'm like, "Tube sock, yo." Like,
hey,
some people got
at a time.
through me to fuck up their
one
property.
Dumbass of the week at a time, John. Come on.
I'm glad you said it, Mike.
Hey.
All right, so we're going to go
We'll
to
be here
some
all
of the Q&A here. So Zig mentions that we should not give Hoskins a qualifying offer because that'll be above and beyond what he deserves. And that's, I mean, that would be cool too.
Now, hold on a second. That site that I looked at has his average market value at $21 million for Rhys Hoskins.
Okay, and QO is 20.5,
20
right,
and a half.
Chris?
Yeah.
Frank, who are the 4 outfielders, not including Schwarber, who make the team out of spring training? Does Rojas? I hope Rojas starts the year at AAA on some other team because he's traded and we get
On
this
the Brewers.
Burns. I really want that. Yeah, like I want Corbin Burns in the worst way. Like I'm, I think that's.
I don't
be a
think
good
you
one.
can answer that question until we see what happens.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about packaging for different outfielders and, packaging for different pitchers. And so I say if nothing happens, then Rojas has got to start in AAA because
100%.
I think Dugan said he was exposed. He was, it was really bad. 0.40 average or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, if nothing happens, then Frank, yes, he's a AAA.
Yep. Try to extend Wheeler. I don't know if I'm interested in that either.
I'm in on that. Yeah.
I'm in.
I've read some discussion on that. Yep.
Yeah. I'd give him like 2 or 3 years.
How old is he? Because he's gotten hurt the past couple of years, right?
He didn't get hurt this year, but last year he did.
Yeah.
What's he? I think he's like 32.
He's
32.
32.
Got it right now. Hold on 1 second. Let me look it up.
And Bieber's 28, by the way. I looked it up while we were talking.
Yeah, I thought it was 27 going on 28 or something like that. But he's still young. Like he's. But yeah, Wheeler, you could give him like a 2-3 year extension, take him to like 35, and then Quesara,
Yep.
It's your stud. I mean, him and Burns, like for all that. Oh man, that would.
Who's that?
Shellhammer.
Dude, Shellhammer.
Still depressed.
You're preaching to the 4-man choir here.
Yeah.
Which is why we're not looking back.
Yeah, because I can't.
Wheeler's 33.
Okay.
Okay, 33. Okay.
So he's 34 at the end of the. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm out on that. Unless it's like a 2-year deal. I don't want another.
Yeah, like 2-3 year, like 2 year maybe club option for the 3rd year or something.
Eric, if we can't sign Nola, go after Burns. Holla.
Eric's on the Burns train. Oh my God.
Matt wrote a dissertation here.
Essay.
He wants to re-sign Nola. He's on everyone's shit list, but over the last 5 years, top 10 pitcher. If you let him walk, then what? Corbin Burns.
And
they're going to need another frontline starter. Corbin Burns, World Series. Corbin Burns, possible trade. Giving up assets.
Montgomery, Gigliotto, Snow.
Matt, we don't disagree with you. I think these are all good points. Fuck no. Can he play right? No. We've fucking seen this one before. It is a goddamn disaster. Did you ever see Bambi, like when she's out there on ice? That's what Rhys Hoskins is, but 10 times worse. It's a fucking
he made Pat
disaster.
Burrell look like a Gold Glover.
Yes.
That's a great comparison, Dugan.
James, prefer to see them both stay and Harper back to right field. Nola and Hoskins went through the bad of the organization. I get that. And James, I think that's the heart thing. And, this is more of like business and wanting to win rings. I don't know. I'd like to see Nola in New York, and I'd like to kick the shit out of him 4 or 5 times a year. I just would. Like, everyone else is beat up on Nola. Can we, as the Phillies team, beat up on him? I would love that to end his career.
They'd sign him.
Kicking the shit. Yeah.
They'd sign him in a second.
This attitude is, keeping these guys. It reminds me of back when Utley, Rollins, Howard, they were at the end, and we wouldn't, and we held on to them, and we went into the tank. Like, you got to rebuild.
For 10 years.
Hold on to guys too
we were
long.
in the tank for 10 years.
I know.
Yeah, they were faded at the end, like faded beyond belief.
It can't be a popularity contest. You gotta be able to produce.
Like, you don't owe Hoskins nothing, like or Nola.
Paul, if they sign Hoskins, they have potentially 4 or 5 first basemen. Hoskins never sees the fields, even in an emergency situation.
4 or 5 DHs.
I'd rather just I mean, if Hoskins comes back, like, you have to get rid of Schwarber or Castellano. You just have to. You can't do it. But Hoskins would have to be the full-time DH. You can't have 2 full-time DHs. You can't do it. I loved the defense without, Schwarber out there and without Hoskins out there. It was much better. All right, we'll do 2 more. Jim, Pache is worse with the bat than Rojas. Agreed. The Oakland fucking A's gave up on him in one season after trading Matt Olson for him. That's a good point. I was always an anti-Pache guy, and Dugan was like, I don't know. I think the dude's all right. I've come around because like now I see what Rojas was, and I'm like, hey, that was a great catch. And then just don't go up with a bat, dude. That would be the best tactic in the playoffs if he did not go up with the bat at all. I don't even trust that because he can't do it.
It's true.
He's a great butter.
He'd need to practice.
All right. Let's see if there's anyone new before we can. Hey, Steve Moles.
Hey.
He does not want Trout, old and injured all the time. We already have enough overpaid people on the team. I mean, that's fair.
It's fair, but think about even 120 games a year with a guy like that. I don't know. I don't know, Steve. We're gonna have to hang out in the garage with a beverage and talk about it.
Talk it out. All right, we're going to turn it over to John, and he's going to talk about Arizona Fall League. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so to cure your baseball blues, the Phillies are over, but there's some Phillies prospects, playing in the Arizona Fall and Winter Leagues. I'm not going to bore you with like too many facts and stuff. Real quick, if you want to go, if you want to see some up and coming players, not just on the Phillies squad, but, in MLB overall, the first inaugural MILB awards were on October 2nd. You can find it on MLB.com. It's like their little award show. It's only like 45 minutes. Like, most improved, this and that, like a regular award show, best pitcher, all that stuff. I watched a few minutes last night. I plan to watch the rest of it tonight. So it's pretty cool that they are starting to do that and include like the young kids on the page a lot. But yeah, we got the Arizona Fall. I'm reading from my notes here. Sorry, guys. We got the Arizona Fall League. Obviously, this is on now. You can watch it on MLB.TV. I don't know if I'm subscribed, so I don't know how it works if it's free or not. But I think it's pretty much. I think it's free. I think you got to pay for the Dominican League to watch on there. I'm not sure. But right now, you got the Arizona Fall League, the Dominican League, Venezuelan, Mexican League, Puerto Rican League, and the Australian Fall League. But the only ones I keep digging, and Google is a bitch lately, so bear with me. I'll have more at the next episode. But pretty much in the Arizona Fall League, we got some guys from the Blue Claws playing, and we got Carlos de la Cruz from Reading is in the Dominican League. I've been watching the last couple games of him. The only thing is it's all in Spanish, so you don't even have the the captioning at the bottom. You can't. So I just like listen for when they say De La Cruz, and I'm like, hey, because I don't understand.
When I was a teenager, I used to watch Telenova. Like, that's Spanish soap opera.
Oh, yeah, like, telenovels. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? And
you start to catch on.
All of us know why. Like, we were watching that. I don't know if you were, but all of us know why. And if you know, you know.
The wardrobe. It was all about the wardrobe. Wardrobe selection was the point.
Hey, John, real quick. I read De La Cruz needs to be on the 40-man roster because he's out of some kind of back and forth thing,
options or whatever.
Yeah. Do you know about that? Or I've read something real quick. It was him and another player, and they were saying the other player they'll probably just waive, but they'll probably add him to the 40-man. Have you seen that, or can you look into that?
No, I haven't gotten to dig into that. I was just digging into who's on what roster so far and all. But I was looking into like what's going to happen for next year for some of these guys. Like after that, I was just trying to get but no, I haven't heard that, and that would suck to lose him because he's a guy that you could put at first base in within a year or two.
First baseman.
Yeah.
I mean,
when in doubt, put him at first.
If you get rid of the other four, but he can hit but he can play outfield too. He's a tall boy.
So think about this for a quick second. If they don't want to put him on the 40-man roster, and they don't want to allow him to be in the Rule 5, he might be a part of a package deal to
You
get
could
one
throw
of
him
these players that we're
somewhere,
talking about.
Yeah, he's like 6'8",
He is
Yeah,
6'8".
he's like 6'7", 6'8". The dude can
Yeah.
play.
I saw that
he's-
same
he-
article, Mike. I think the other guy was Rafael Marchand, the catcher. I think he
Okay.
was the other one that's out of options.
And he
I
should be
would
the
cut
backup.
Marchand. I would cut Marchand in a heartbeat.
Really?
I would keep De La Cruz. Yeah, I would get
I
rid
think
of Marchand.
Marchand replaces Stubbs immediately.
And
Yeah,
he
you
goes to
could
the
do that.
26-man.
You got.
And then you have another spot.
I'm just looking ahead a couple years, but I'm a couple years ahead. But I'm looking at like Ricketts and Disson coming up. But I mean, you have no idea what's going on there. But
Right.
Yeah.
but yeah. And what was I gonna say? I'm sorry. De La Cruz is the only one I've seen so far playing in the Dominican League. But the Arizona Fall League, Andrew Baker's tearing it up. He's making a name for himself. And I was talking about him on an episode earlier this year. He's going to be a good reliever. He was in a futures game this year. He was mentioned in trades. Dave told everybody, nope, we're not including him in any trades. I don't want to get too hyped because I didn't expect the Kirkring game to happen. I saw him rising up. I thought he would just stop at AAA and then start there next year. Did not see him coming up for the postseason at all or the end of the season. So the Kirkring surprised me, but the dude was tearing it up in the minors this year, and he's tearing it up in Arizona Fall League. Let's see what happens in camp, but if not this year, probably definitely next year. Andrew Baker's going to be in that bullpen for sure. I don't know what role, but I was listening on the radio and on MLB earlier. They were talking about the Fall League. He's doing pretty good. But you got some guys I'm looking at in the Fall League for it's the Scottsdale Scorpions in the Fall League is where the Phillies are, or Phillies prospects. You got Andrew Baker, of course. I'm sorry, where am I at here? Okay. You got Caleb Ricketts. He's the catcher, first baseman. He just got promoted from Clearwater to Jersey Shore this year. He could play first base and catcher. He was ahead of Disson, and then he moved up. Oliver Dunn's there. The guy I was telling you about, the power hitting left fielder, Gabriel Rincones, is on the Scorpions as well for the Fall League. You can watch the Fall League on MLB.TV too. And then the Australian Baseball League has some prospects too. You got Rickson Wingrove. I think I mentioned him on an episode before. He's actually from Australia. You got Cade Fergus. I'm just naming some. I'm not naming every name to bore people, but I'm just naming some of the names I recognize and some people might recognize. You got Nick Ward, who's pretty good. You got Cam Wynn, but you got some guys going to get some playing time and improve, hopefully. But I'm looking for I'm sorry, bear with me. I screenshotted this earlier. There's a Fall League. I mean, it might bore some people, but I'm going to watch if I can. The Arizona Fall League Home Run Derby's on Saturday. And Rincones is actually in it from the Blue Claws. So if you want to, see him yak some over the fence, have some fun with it.
We're getting late in the day, so John, no, it's cool. I'm going to move you on, John. We have a couple more things we're going to do. We're kind of pulling up on the hour, so I have a couple of Uncle Bad Load stories. I had about 5 queued up. I'll only do a few of them, see how quick it is. But then I just kind of want to go around the horn and kind of say, what are you guys doing this winter? And we can wrap it up. So Uncle Bad Load is my dad's brother, my uncle. And here are some conversations that we've had either recently or not recently. So we were talking about vacations, and this is more recent. So it was, Uncle Bad Load talking to me about a vacation. He says, remember that one time the whole family went to Disney? It was fucking terrible because it's not a vacation if my family's with me. I could vacation in my fucking house if you'd all leave. That's an Uncle Bad Load moment. We'll kind of talk about, when I was growing up, I looked like Connor Brogdon, right? I was like tall, thin, super skinny. And I didn't think I was awkward, but he let me know I was awkward. And this is more recent. And I was like, you know what? I'm not that kid anymore. Like, I know that's what's in your head, Uncle BL. You still aren't in the awkward phase of your life? Like when you were a teenager? You ever see yourself walk down a hill? You look like Manute Bol if he had a huge load in his pants. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, you know, I'm just trying to have a good time here, and like Uncle Badloads just let me know about things. And then the last one, and I'll post a lot of these other ones. So Aunt Kitty gets embarrassed in me because other people, you know, say I curse too much. Ass, fuck, piss, pig fucker. They're just words. Well, pig fucker may not be, but you get the idea. So that's little Uncle Badloads.
UBL, baby.
Yeah. So we'll start backwards. John, what's your winter plans?
Pretty much. I'm gonna be watching pretty much fall and winter ball up until the Caribbean series. I can't get enough. I mean, if I can't watch the Phillies, you know, the big club, I'm gonna watch the prospects. Baseball is my first love. I mean, of course I'll watch the Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and all. I'll watch that, but I miss the Phillies. I'm in that depression mode.
Yep.
I just want to, you know, snuggle up in a bathrobe and some cookie dough and just watch some baseball. But yeah, just watch that. Support the Birds. You know, Sixers are looking all right. They're finally got rid of Harden and all, but Flyers are up and coming. They're rebuilding, but they're looking all right for a young team. So just pay attention to the other teams, but do my homework for next year. You know, for the podcast and try to promote the podcast and get our names out there, and until the next season, get some more followers and viewers.
Excellent. What about you, Dugan?
Yeah, you know, I'll be all in on the Eagles, you know, all season, watching the Eagles. Try and get back into the Flyers. They kind of left me a couple years ago. I got bored with watching the Flyers because they were so terrible. But John's right; they're young and upcoming. They seem to be a little more exciting this year, even if they're not winning. At least it's something to look forward to. I am fortunate that my daughter's going to practice softball all winter, so I'll still be involved with helping her with pitching lessons and get to throw the glove on once a week and play catcher for her during her pitching lessons, which I really enjoy because keeps me sharp, you know, digging balls out of the dirt and calling pitches. It's fun. And I'll keep an eye on MLB, what's going on with the Phillies, any rumors that are going on. You know, look for some fodder for the page during the off season and try and keep things going and keep people entertained.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, so I joined a cult this year at Penn State University. My middle daughter went there, and so not this Saturday, but next Saturday they play Michigan, and lucky enough to have a couple of tickets. We're gonna do a tailgate for the girls. My daughter has got a crew up there now, and we'll go to that game. I am all in on a Birds run now. I think I said it before. Somebody tried to talk about the Birds while the Phillies were still playing. I was like, dude, I'm out until they're done. Unfortunately, the Phillies are done. And so, you know, I'm all in on a Birds run. And just you have to understand that for the last 8 years, I lived in Massachusetts. It's fucking cold there, okay? And so everybody gets out of there at least once, if not twice, every winter to go somewhere warm. And so what I'm thinking is a Key West deal, because my wife and I have been DPF wife number 3, have been trying to go to Key West for a long time. And we've got some friends that might want to go with us. And then a Clearwater. Not a Clearwater, but a Clearwater.
You're going to go to that nudie bar in Key West where you can just walk around with your banger out?
Hey,
maybe. I didn't know that.
I never heard of it.
I mean, are
naked
there,
Manute Bol with a
other
load in his
things
pants
hanging out?
walking around.
I think it's not just dudes.
Yeah,
It's not just,
so,
you know, dudes meets out there.
I wouldn't be opposed.
Yeah.
But and then Clearwater, we're for sure gonna try and finagle some time around St. Patty's.
Cool.
So
that's awesome.
Yep.
So mine is like sitting in the garage, wishing I had heat, drinking beers, maybe watching some, you know, documentaries is kind of what I watch a lot, and not just the baseball one.
Yeah.
Playing Stratomatic. Football is one that I'll be catching, whether it's NFL or whether it's college. And I am interested in getting back into the Flyers a little bit. The Sixers, I'm not sure about still. Maybe I'll watch by the snake. But one of the things I want to do is, I went to Clearwater 2 years ago. Dugan went last year. Then I was like jealous, and I'm like, man, I want to go back. So I'm like, I think I positioned it the wrong way with my wife, saying like, oh my God, it's so nice there. You get to see baseball every day. And I was wrong about this. So Renee, if you're watching, the beaches are just as beautiful. You don't have to go to any games. I can go to the games. I will meet you afterwards. I will meet you before at the beach, but I want to go. And, during that St. Patrick's, it was fun. Because when we did do that, we kind of went out and about on St. Patrick's Day down there. And it's awesome. Dunedin's beautiful, breweries, tons of them. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. The one last thing I want to say is, how often are we going to be on? I don't know. But we can commit to, twice a month. And we might have some special ones that are kind of like breaking in because something happens, or we're going to have some guest on the show. But we're going to commit to, twice a month. So we appreciate everyone kind of coming on. Before we sign off, I know it's getting a little bit long, but I saw that there was a lot of comments, and I just want to get a few more in there before we kind of do a sign off.
Can we do this one first?
What's that?
Can we do this one first? Yeah. So who caused more pain or heartbreak? Kimbrel in this NLCS or Mitch Williams in the 93 World Series? And does the NLCS versus World Series make a difference in the discussion? I'm going to start with you, Dugan.
I think this one causes more pain, this Kimbrel one, just because I think the Phillies were such the heavy favorite to win this series. So losing this one kind of really hurts. Now, obviously, the way that ended with a home run and a walk-off, that right. was a pierce through the heart. But I really think this one hurts the most, watching Kimbrel piss away 2 games in a series that, we were already talking about World Series. We knew we had that series won, and he pissed it away. So this one hurts. This one really hurts.
Anybody disagree?
Yeah, kind of. I get Dugan's point. And I do agree, but at the same time, like that 93 game with Mitch, they were our lovable, huggable scumbags, and that was the only year we knew that was their only chance to win a series like that year. These guys weren't going to be a dynasty. A bunch of drunks spitting chew and tobacco all over the place. Like, that was their best chance. That hurt me more than Kimbrel, but Kimbrel did hurt. But it's forever fuck Joe Carter.
There you go. I appreciate it. Shout out, Hav. Thanks for the questions. Next up.
So our buddy Freddie, he wants to see John in a bathrobe next podcast.
All right.
And a pipe.
Well done.
As long as it covers everything, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
That's same for all of us. Steve, we love you guys. I'd be cool with the podcast after a trade or free agent signing. Yeah, that's what we're kind of thinking.
By the way, we also remember we did the Facebook Live deal, and we actually figured that out. That might be
so we could do that. Like just pop in.
That was cool.
It was super cool. I love that.
So this is a good point, Alex. In DPF Wives, I was talking about this. So, I think it should happen. And I think it's more of like maybe we're here, maybe we're not. Maybe it's like, a half us dudes doing our thing for 30 minutes. And then we let them take over and, say whatever they want at open forum. Maybe I'll put a post out there and see how many likes it gets. And, maybe that's something that's Chris's wife and
Carrie's already agreed. So,
and mine and John's future wife will want to get on with. Where
are you?
So let me see if there's one more. This is a good way to end it. Jason, this group is awesome. I love the birds, but nothing beats the Phils. Appreciate that. We're like an hour and 10 in. gonna sign off, and I was thinking about this, like, how do I do this now? Like, what's the sign off? Like, is it the same? And it kind of is, but there's someone who's so angered me that he's part of this now. He's part of that conversation. He has to be part of the fuckta. It just can't. So appreciate everyone tuning in, listening, watching. Share this. We're on Spotify, YouTube, X, Facebook Live, a bunch of other places. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, we're there. Fuck the Mets, fuck Joe Carter, and fuck Craig Kimbrell.
Yeah, there you
It was
go.
coming.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks for joining in.
All right.